Hello, good morning, Andy Brockman.
Morning, Mark.
Good morning. Now, today you're here to talk to us about an exciting new venture called the Pipeline. What exactly is the Pipeline?
Well, the Pipeline is a tribute to our great mentor as a media archaeologist, Mortimer Wheeler. We have been running a website called Mortimer and Facebook group called Mortimer for the last 3 years. We are now growing up, if you like, and going into the fully fledged archaeological media. And inspired by Sir Mortimer, who is a great pipe smoker, we're going to be providing lines from the pipe, a pipeline of information about archaeological stories, but it's not going to be the kind of who found what where type of archaeological press release. We're looking under the surface of archaeology, if you like, to use a really cheesy metaphor. And we're going
You're
to be
digging deeper.
We are digging deeper. We're going to be digging maybe into the issues about archaeology that people maybe have always wanted to discuss but never had an outlet to discuss.
Okay. Well, why do you think this particular type of journalism is necessary? Why is this required?
I think we're all aware, wherever we are in the world, that archaeology and heritage are under great pressures, whether it's from processes like climate change or whether it's from prevailing political ideologies. There's a sort of neoliberal consensus at the moment that state subsidies, for example, are a bad thing and can't be afforded, and that is causing big problems to archaeology, which has traditionally relied on state support for conservation and even excavation and the subsidy of university places and so on. So, but those subjects aren't always covered in the mainstream media, and even in the mainstream archaeology media, which tends to be dealing understandably with the work and the exciting work that people are doing. What we want to do with the Pipeline is to create a news outlet, a source of information where we can discuss those subjects that are really important in terms of the future of and the ethics and the morality and the practicalities of undertaking heritage conservation archaeology, and discuss those and bring those into the public domain.
Right, okay, so almost moving away from the archaeologist and the archaeological press release as a what have they found today type story, and trying to go a little bit beyond that. I see. What's actually inspired then this type of journalism? Who are your journalistic heroes for this type of venture?
I think more than anything, the Pipeline hasn't set out to copy anybody, but it's been inspired by investigative reporting generally, and particularly a UK magazine people might be familiar with called Private Eye, which manages to combine a light touch and satirical content with some really hard-hitting, sharp investigative journalism, and going to places where and pioneering stories which a lot of the mainstream media don't touch or won't touch, and so that's the kind of inspiration that we're taking. We think that there's a lot of news out there that needs to be brought into the public domain. Mortimer has a tagline, which is "Our past, our future, our choice," and informed choices depend on good information, and so that's what we want to be there, so that if we identify a story that needs to be discussed, the discussion can be had, even if certain people would rather the discussion wasn't had.
Right. Okay. So a fairly fearless brand of journalism then, in that sense.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I suppose just a couple more questions. What would be your lead stories? Can you give us a flavour of what people can expect in the opening days and weeks of Pipeline?
Well, in our current content, which is primarily through an online news blog, and I hope we'll post the link to that as part of this package. We're going to be covering a number of stories, one-off stories such as the planning permission for for a solar array on a registered UK battlefield, which has been controversial. We're also going to be looking at stories that we're likely to be coming back to. Archaeosupers might well be familiar with the second cast story, where Northampton Council sold a very valuable and very important Egyptian statue from its museum collection and got pilloried for it all over the world. There's still a lot to come out about that story, and we'll be following that. We're following issues such as marine treasure hunting. So we've been running, for instance, we will be running, for instance, stories about Odyssey Marine Exploration and their ongoing adventures. We're also going to be looking certainly rather quizzically at certain of the historical and archaeological media. And on a lighter note, in the first issue, in the first block of content, we've also got a review of a new British TV situation comedy called Detectorists about metal detecting. So that's the kind of range of material that ArchaeoSupers and anybody else who drops in on the pipeline can hope to read. And I hope it'll inspire them to become citizen journalists, citizen archaeologist journalists, and start to cover their own stories, because we want it to be a publication platform where people can come to us with an idea for a story, either information that we can write up, or write a story themselves, and we can act as publisher. Hopefully we're as the venture develops, we'll be moving into vlogging and perhaps other social media. We've already got a Twitter feed in parallel with the main news blog.
Okay. Well, actually, you somewhat preempted my final question there, and that is, I suppose, could you possibly expand on this idea of citizen journalists and the types of people that you would like and that you foresee getting involved in writing articles, maybe making short dispatches almost on local issues? And also as well, could you just comment a little bit on why that is necessary? That is to say, I don't know, why are these stories not necessarily catered for adequately by many current media platforms?
I think the important thing to state is that we're not there to do hatchet jobs on people, but we are there to bring information into the public domain that needs to be in the public domain for people to make informed decisions. And that sometimes means potentially embarrassing maybe some of the government or corporate entities that are now heavily involved in archaeology all over the world. Some parts of archaeology have got very corporate, and you get non-disclosure agreements and so on. Commercial confidentiality is increasingly cited. It's been cited all the time in the SecMCAR story, although it's dealing with millions of pounds of public money. And so we're there to sort of cut through that. So hopefully, by treating it journalistically, people who've got information, who've got stories, who can talk to us in, if necessary, under conditions of journalistic confidence. We subscribe, and we say on the website, we subscribe to the British National Union of Journalists Code of Conduct, and that includes protecting sources. So it's not quite the little man strikes back, but we're trying to level the playing field so that the people who haven't got access to a PR operation can also have their say.
Okay. Interesting. And actually, you're quite right in terms of confidentiality agreements and the way that archaeology is increasingly treated as a resource to be drip-fed, as opposed to something which is open to fairly universal critique. That is an interesting trend, and then this kind of venture could be very good for challenging that, I think, certainly. Okay, well, thank you very much, Andy. We look forward to seeing what comes out of the pipeline, and obviously I'll put all relevant links down below the video there. You can follow the Twitter feed, take a look at the website as it is now, and just keep an eye out for future stories. So thanks again, and maybe we'll check back on how this is going in the future.
Thank you. I hope we'll be breaking stories that you'll be wanting to cover on ArchaeoSoup.
Indeed. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, thank you.